Hello. I'd like to discuss a really interesting concept, well, interesting to me anyway, personally, truthfully. Where's me? So, I'm talking right now about new wave. If something is new wave in 1983, what is it now? I was like, I don't know, dude, what is it now? Old wave. So if it was new wave in 1983, it's flipping old wave now. Okay, and it has been old wave for a while. So time passes and so forth, and stuff flips around. So something presented as new wave then, if you put it on now, people go, oh, what's this? Oh, say talking heads, such as myself. Okay, so I'm going to be the talking heads. I'll put this on for people today. And they're going to be like, what's this stuff? I've never heard that. I've never seen that. Okay, well, at the time it came out in 1983 that I'm quoting, then it was called New Wave, or if you like, anti-rock. Okay, so what is it now? Like, well, okay, I guess it's rock. See, now it's classic rock. So something that, okay, you see where I might be headed with this, so considered new wave anti-rock in 1983 now is old wave classic rock because it's so old and so classic rock sounding. Right, so public tastes have changed. I was just looking now at the video for U2, even better than the real thing. And this is from, I think, 1991 or something like that. 90, 80, 90, I don't know. I'll look this up again. But if that was intended at that time as minimalistic anti-rock, maybe you have to play instruments and kind of read the lyrics and so forth to sort of ascertain this. Like, what is it now? Oh, it's classic rock. Like, see, I'm fairly sure at the time that it was supposed to be intended as shocking, weird, like a cultural attack on, rock stars or whatever. And right at the end of it, it goes, watch more TV. And I go, well, the message of all that seems to be pointing at the listeners and the watchers of MTV and sort of defying them to make their own rock. So I'm like, I haven't seen this message kind of in a while. And you put this on for people today, they probably go, huh, what band is this? It was very prominent on the radio and on the TV at the time. Zoo TV was the concept they came up with for the next album after that called Zooropa, okay, which is apparently based on an art exhibit. The art exhibit is from Berlin and involves animals and glass and people looking through the animals, or looking through the glass at the animals, and it's supposed to sort of juxtapose an urban landscape with a bunch of animals or something like that. And you might think, oh, that means that the people are stuck in a zoo. Like, it doesn't mean that. I looked this up and read this a few times, and I went, what art exhibit is this, and what was the intention behind it? The Berlin Zoo or something. It's somebody's weird art concept. And I go, okay, so now you put this on for people, they go, oh, U2 rocks. They are not aware of this Berlin art concept or this exhibit that involved animals in Berlin or something. And, they can probably hear the guitars and the beat, and U2 is sort of famous for this kind of, pardon me, basic rock beat, kind of basic kind of groove like that. And the guy going, bleh! And I'm like, if you read the lyrics and look through this, you see that that's a facade or a front or a face. And it's not really rock. It's actually sort of a pastiche of rock, or a parody of rock, or a collage of rock-like things, intended to draw attention to the passiveness, the passivity, I suppose is the correct word, of the audience. Okay, so you see in the live version, he goes right in the camera and goes, "Stop watching TV" or something like that. And it's oh, okay, that's not in the record or in the video on MTV. If you watch the live concert version, they set up 200 TVs behind them every night or something like this. So they're all showing different channels from satellite links at the time all over the world. And look at this crap that we've filled up the airwaves with and everything. Isn't it sad? Right? Next part. Okay, rolling? Okay. So they put like 300 TVs behind them or something, and the whole tour, maybe not the record, and then I think now this is from Zooropa, 93, and they put like 300 TVs behind them every night, and it was all about quote unquote media, and they would sometimes synchronize and all say one big message like "everything you know is wrong." I go, okay, everything I know is wrong. See, many times I talk to people and they talk about U2 or they think U2's a rock and band or whatever. They've never seen that. I show people that and they're like, "What's this?" So it's like, well, that's annoying to me that somebody could listen to something and endorse it and think it was great rockin' stuff and not know kind of the actual message behind it. And I go, well, that sucks. And it seems to me you could take old things from around that time, put them on for people now, and they go, whoa, what's this? Weird. And they think it's a new song. So you see, the climate in which that was created, the context in which that was created, was called New Wave Anti-Rock, right? With no guitar solos, no drum solos, no complicated bass, as I said earlier. Strip the fuck down. Pardon me, strip the hell down. Kind of ideas, okay, right? And the vocals, whatever vocals you want. Another thing of New Wave, I looked around on the net and what is New Wave anyway? They mentioned Talking Heads and Devo as being kind of flag bearers of this movement, right? So if you put on Talking Heads or Devo now, what is that called now? It's called old wave classic rock or classic punk even or whatever. But as a kid watching that in the 80s, I could tell you when I saw Talking Heads, I go, what the hell is that? Because everything else on TV was somewhat predictable at the time, as you might imagine. It was a soap opera, Dallas, right? Or it was some kind of crap that was like, I don't know, Barbies or whatever the hell. And then the guy comes out, and she was, and she was, and she was, and she was, or something. I don't understand to this day what the hell he's super talking about. It was like, once in a lifetime, water flowing underground, once in a lifetime. Like, I defy you now in 2026 to go back and watch, Talking Heads, okay, or U2 or stuff from that time. And it's like, see, they figured at that time the rock was already dead, that there was no guitars, no drums, old crap, 70s, stupid, right? And so they were all over MTV. And the kids at that time, in '83, I personally was 4 years old at the time. But then I became 5 years old, and then 6 years old, and 7, and this continued throughout my life to see things on MTV that were intended for an older audience, I suppose, at that time. But that I watched anyway, because nobody gave a fuck at the time, a rip at that time. And it was pointed out to me that the censorship rules were not yet in place. So if you look at really old videos from original MTV, here is my thesis statement here, that they were uncensored, new wave, and anti-rock. So This is what sold at the time. People ran out and bought that like hotcakes. So something like Madonna Like a Virgin, I read, sold like 1 trillion copies. And suddenly, whoever the heck Madonna is, if she even sang it or not, is a genius. It's like $1 trillion. And then so it skews the entire market toward making these little movies and little videos because then you could take basically monkey shit and turn it into total solid gold, right? By making the correct video and latching onto this, as we might call it today, algorithm. So you see, they were, and what I'm told is this was somewhat of an accident and not even really intended. When they put this on, it was these little short films with this little music, and people would watch it all day, every day. Wow, what do they think of next? Like, I can't turn away. Like, it was so weird that people, wow. So they realized this, that there's little kids watching this, there's everybody, and there's an MTV zombie or whatever the fuck. Whatever the hell. Hey, I'm just going to swear now. So, if everybody's an MTV zombie and you can put anything on there, that's the environment that they're addressing. Okay? They're not talking about the internet, YouTube, modems, even anything from the 90s. Like, you're trying to put yourself back in this time, that would have been seen as like the apocalypse by some of these Christian groups and stuff that are still around today. I remember, if you watch Phil Donahue, right, he used to line up like 10 rabbis, 10 priests, and like 10 punks with green mohawks. And it's like, what? And every day, and they're like physically punching each other, like why would you put a bunch of rabbis and priests with a bunch of punk dudes? He was thriving on the controversy. He would turn to the camera, who the heck's watching this right now? I'm Phil Donahue. This is a circus. This is the Phil Donahue circus today. If you're watching this, you must have no brain cells left in your head. It's a brain drain. You're having a brain drain. Right now, the Phil Donahue circus right now is a brain drain. So don't look at this, because it's bad. Like, at some point, my family and I were kind of going, what? Why is this even being broadcast anymore? Like, is it not, it's not even super shocking that there's some punk guy with the green mohawk trying to punch a rabbi or whatever. It's like, we know they're against each other by that point. That guy's not a conservative. That guy's a conservative white corporate master. It's like, we understand somewhat of the issues they're discussing. So he was like the forerunner of Maury Povich and, who's the other guy? Jerry Springer. And he's supposed to be a legitimate journalist, and then he's basically saying, hey, well, the world's going to hell, and oh my God, I'm going to put on 10 rabbis and 10 punks and see what happens, and see, they hate each other a lot. Oh my goodness. Like, even he seemed to go into this mindset of the more shocking, the better. Shocking this, shocking that. It's so shocking. Like, so if you weren't alive for this and never saw this, someone comes out on TV today or in a rap album and says, yo, I'm Mr. Shock. This is Mr. Shock. I'm going to shock you. I'm going to shock you with things you've never seen before that are so shocking and weird. Who does that kind of sound like? Eminem, yo, I'm so shocking. I'm in your TV. I'm in your kid's brain because I took over your kid's brain because your kid sucks. And things. It's like, that's not even shocking, right? If you were there in the 80s, you would understand better the context of that time, okay? So things that were already called New Wave, anti-music, or whatever, were on the radio and on TV all day. 1 second. So, you see, they not only absorbed this idea of postmodernist shock, but they promote it. So they say, okay, here's some religious idiot that doesn't have a radio or a TV, and what does he think? Well, they should read the Bible more or something like ha 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 ha. The whole audience is like laughing at them. So back then that was even understood. Okay, so I might sound like an old man to some people who shouldn't watch this. But I've seen this go full circle. I personally never thought that would happen to me, but it has. I go, did how shall I put that? The zeitgeist of that time, the concepts of that time, are not fully understood today. I saw it myself. It was like a trend. It was like everything was shock, shock, shock. And then if you said, oh, they're shocking, it was almost like a compliment, right? Oh, Talking Heads isn't music. That guy can't sing. U2 is noise. That guy's weird. Like, it was like it had to be that. Otherwise, it wouldn't be considered current. Okay? So then the fallout of this is the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s. We have grunge, post-grunge, rap grunge, stuff like that. That, see, it contains those messages. And it sounds similar and looks similar. But it's in fact a repackaging of what was originally called shock new wave or postmodernist art wave or something like that. So you see, it's not actually rock anymore. It's so far different from rock that they might call it something like, I don't know, post-rock, anti-rock, whatever. Again, so we have a new wave, and then we have a new wave, and we have a new wave, and so on. And this never ends. And the reason this never ends is because there's constantly new people being born and watching it and buying it, thinking it's new. So the novelty of it is the commodity, if you're following me. And you can see through the novelty of it as not being very novel and based on ancient things. Or in ancient Greece or Egypt, there was debates about this kind of thing. You're corrupting the youth, and the women are going to, forsake their, housewife duties. There's things like that in ancient Greece and ancient Egypt. Okay, like there's nothing new under the sun would be the overall concept of this, but the way they were putting that at that time, oh my God, U2's crazy. Oh my God, Talking Heads are crazy. Now the stuff coming out, just like Eminem, Korn, whatever, shockers, right? That's their message. Ultimately, if you read a lot of their lyrics, is what's even shocking anymore? Nothing's shocking. Woo, boogie, boogie. Okay? And they have this so ingrained into their mindset that it's so far away from original rock messages, it has already ingested and internalized, anti-rock, post-modernist art aesthetics, counterculture aesthetics, and other things like this, and it inherently embodies them, right? So people trying to make rock today, who are 15 or 16, might get all this confused, and it's like, who's doing what? I don't know yet. I'll just play some stuff and see kind of what happens, right? So as I've gotten older, I appreciate this phenomenon, that it's new people coming in, making the same mistakes that their forebearers did, but at an accelerated rate. So then there's now a generation gap between, say, me, Gen X, and the Gen Y and the Gen Z. The generation gap is more exaggerated by media such as MTV, and now we're seeing YouTube and TikTok, and it just keeps getting, kind of more flashy, more obnoxious, but still the same messages. So if you go right back to, Phil Donahue and Geraldo show and whatever, they line up 10 rabbis, 10 priests, and 10 punks, and they're all punching each other in the face, throwing a chair at each other, just like Jerry Springer today, or whatever's cool today. That's exactly what they were commenting right in the camera. Oh, this is ancient Rome. This is the Colosseums. This is the bread and circuses. This is the decline of Western civilization, and so on. So I go, okay. So you see, it's somewhat of a gimmick or a manipulation to pass this off as new, as real new ideas, when, like I said, way back in '83 or '2, when things that were new wave came out, right, they were actually new. So I'm interested to see where all this goes. The Grammys were just on. I didn't watch them. I can't really watch them without cringing and running away, but I understand that Trent Reznor won another Grammy, one of my favorites. Good for him, and Atticus Ross, okay, Nice Dale's great. See, that kind of thing would have been unthinkable in the early 80s or early 70s or whatever, but look, like he has commented on this and things like Natural Born Killers and things around this. It's sort of about the media with, Geraldo caricatures and so on, and kind of like don't watch TV anymore type of idea. So where do we go with all this? I'm not sure, but I'll be back.